Welcome, everyone, to English. Today, I have a special story for you. It's a tale of mystery, laughter, and a little bit of mischief. So sit back, relax, and let me take you to a small town where something very strange happened. In the quiet town of Willow Lane, everyone loved Mrs. Baker's cakes. Mrs. Baker was the best baker in town. Her cakes were soft, sweet, and full of flavor. But her most famous cake, the triple chocolate fudge cake, it was so delicious that people would line up at her shop just to get a slice. One sunny morning, Mrs. Baker decided to bake her famous cake for the town's picnic. She worked all day, mixing the chocolate, whipping the cream, and decorating the cake with shiny cherries. When the cake was done, she placed it on her kitchen table and smiled. "This is my best cake yet," she said. But when Mrs. Baker returned to the kitchen to check on her masterpiece, the cake was gone. The news spread quickly. "Mrs. Baker's cake is missing." The townspeople whispered who could have taken it and why. Detective Brown, the town's clever investigator, was called to solve the mystery. He put on his big hat, grabbed his magnifying glass, and went straight to Mrs. Baker's house. "Let's find some clues," said Detective Brown. He searched the kitchen and found a trail of crumbs leading out the door. "Aha!" he exclaimed. The thief was in a hurry. The crumbs led to the park, where Detective Brown found another clue: chocolate smudges on a picnic table. The thief must have been here, he thought. Just then, Detective Brown heard giggling behind a bush. He slowly walked over and peeked behind it. There, he found two little children, Mia and Tommy, with chocolate all over their faces. "Did you two take Mrs. Baker's cake?" Detective Brown asked. Mia and Tommy looked at each other. They felt guilty. "We're sorry." Mia said, "We were so hungry. And the cake smelled so good, we couldn't resist." Detective Brown smiled. "Stealing is not the answer. Next time just ask." The children nodded and promised to help Mrs. Baker bake a new cake. That afternoon, Mrs. Baker, Mia, and Tommy worked together in the kitchen. When the new cake was ready, they took it to the picnic. Everyone laughed and cheered when they heard the story of the missing cake. And from that day on, Mia and Tommy became Mrs. Baker's little helpers, learning how to bake cakes instead of taking them. And that, my friends, is the story of the mystery of the missing cake. Remember, every problem has a solution if we choose honesty and kindness. Thank you for listening to today's story. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to English for more fun stories. See you next time.